Greetings and welcome back to Cattenvîr. This episode is directly following our Meet the Dwarves episode. And to start things off, in the Meet the Dwarves episode, I noticed that we had a remarkably large amount of unnamed children. We have more now. So, feeling that this was an unsuitable situation, we can't have children without names. At least not for a very long time. Oh, there's two of them? Really? Well, you're going to have to wait till the next episode. But I went ahead and named all of our children, and I'm going to introduce them now. We have F25U, who is the child of Nigit and Togo. They have an older brother of Toggits. We have Nuon B, who is the child of 1F Jeff and the Kelzit. They have an older brother, 1F Kelzit. Well done. We have Logi. Logi is the child of Porsa and Ain, and they have an older sister, Callisto. We've got Super Joe as well. They are the child of Midnight Mastodon and Kubamaker, and their older sister is Hack. Quite a lot of these children have older siblings in the fort. Not all of them, but quite a few. Timber Chopper is the child of Thales and Dapper Jester. They have two siblings in the fort. An older brother, Dapper Thales, and an older sister, Liger. We also have Sir Shep. Sir Shep is the child of James Cox and Webster with the older brother of Axel. We also have Urgle Burgle, the child of Mini Assassin and Yihim. They have an older sister in the fort of Crossbone and Will, who I believe is in the military. Yes, they are. And some older siblings who aren't in the fort. We have Ice Storm, child of UNK and Dark Raven, whose older brother is Tokimi, and several older siblings outside of the fort. We also have Amanor, who's the child of Kraken Shark and Zeno. Now we have Spilster, the child of Midnight Doom and Tevish, and whilst they don't have any siblings in the fort, they have a fair few other family members, grandparents, and even an aunt. We also have Lion, or Leon if you prefer, the child of Babbit and Ice Blaster. Again, no siblings, but quite a few family members here. Quite a lot of family members. We have Isdar, the child of Dr. Hylik and Anonymous. They have an older brother of Dr. Anonymous and another older brother who doesn't live in the fort. They also have quite a few other... Oh yes, sorry, I saw these babies. I thought they were siblings. They're not. They're cousins. One of them is Lion, that we just met, and a new baby who hasn't been named yet. We also have Darko, who I can only assume is related to Johnny, and they are the child of Grimnir and Leverfressel. Now, speaking of Grimnir, Grimnir is one of the people who put their name forward to meet their dwarf in the last episode. Now, for everyone who did put their name forward prior to the episode, the reason why you might not have been named is either I couldn't find your dwarf in the list, which has happened to at least one person because their dwarf is named something drastically different from their username, or I simply ran out of time. There were about 3 people at the bottom of the list that I couldn't get to in time, and I forgot to mention that I will be keeping those names over for the next Meet the Dwarves episode. However, with regard to other people who would like to meet their dwarves in future episodes, what I would ask is that you hold on to the name for now. I'm going to ask again when I'm getting ready to record a new Meet the Dwarves episode. I will put out a request for people to leave me their names, and I will actually get to meeting their dwarves in the following episode. It'll just keep things a little bit more tidy for me and easier for me to organize if all of the people who want to be on that in that Meet the Dwarves episode have their names in the comment section of the video coming before it. Now, those other 2 children, though, seriously, I literally paused it just for a second after I finished naming them, and they've already had 2 kids since then. My God. Now, that said, one of the other things I noticed whilst going through Meet the Dwarves was this. That, where are you? Medwyn had an enormous list of requirements that were not being met. Now, I didn't remember setting Medwyn up to be a noble or having a job that would require these sorts of things. As it happens, Medwyn is the captain of the Fortress Guard. Now, I don't know if I accidentally set Medwyn up as the captain of the guard. It could easily be the case that I just designated the new squad and set the first person as the captain of the guard, in which case, silly me. But it could also be that they were voted in. I'm not sure. But now that we've got a captain of the guard, this does open up certain complications. Now, I'm quite happy for Medwin to be the captain of the guard, actually. In a way, it actually worked to our advantage. But, in a nutshell, having a captain of the guard means that justice can now be performed. Or injustice, as I usually feel. Now, as we can already see, we've got one criminal. Lupanian. Their crime, not making one of Webster's stupid things that he wanted. I can't remember. Were they piccolos or something like that? Webster had some sort of fetish with an instrument, I'm sure of it. And because one of those work orders was not finished, anyone who had a job that would have allowed them to make it, for example, if it's a craft that's made in a crafter's workshop, any of the crafting dwarfs would have been chosen at random to be responsible for this. And they would now be a criminal. The result is they would have to be punished in some way. The sentences can range from being locked up for a certain amount of time to being beaten. I don't think there is actually capital punishment in the sense of you will be beaten until death, but usually beatings result in that if your military is in any way powerful. And that is why I tend to try and avoid having a reeve in the Shire or Barony or any other type of kingdom title you want. The moment you've got a reeve, or a captain of the guard if you prefer, things get messy. Now, there are two ways of resolving this mess. One is to make sure that your fortress guard, it isn't just the captain of the fortress guard, it's whatever squad he's attached to is the fortress guard as well. So you make sure that that squad is full of uncharacteristically weak soldiers. Now, you can either give them weak weapons or just give them no weapons. Now, personally, I recommend to give them weak weapons because giving them no weapons at all means they're going to train up wrestling, and they can get very, very good at that. You know, they'll put someone in a headlock to take them to the cell and accidentally just snap their neck. Yeah, kind of happens more often than you'd think in Dwarf Fortress. Giving them weak weapons, however, can help, like training weapons. Now, there is a problem with that. Oh, what just happened? Melvin Caravan, eh? Well, you can wait for me to finish talking. Now, the thing with weak weapons is that if you give them training weapons or anything like that, or the fact if you make them weak soldiers, the Fortress Guard are actual soldiers. They just also handle justice. They're charged with keeping the fort running correctly and criminals being punished, but they are soldiers, and when you go to war, they will wade into the fight like anyone else. Suicidally, often, if you've made them especially weak soldiers. They will be in especially weak military. If they're the only military you have, then yeah, that may even lead to everyone else in the fort dying when someone invades and just ruffle stomps them. So I tend not to go for that one. But there are two ways of dealing with this, and it just so happens that it's fallen in our lap, the second way. Now, if they are a ranged squad instead of a melee squad, they will never shoot a criminal. They will never use their crossbow bolts to shoot down a criminal. That may change in the future. And if it does, then this particular solution to the problem will become invalid. What they will do, though, is they will beat them with the crossbow. Now, you might think that is just as bad as giving them a weapon, but you can make a crossbow out of an incredibly light material. Wood, like feather wood, for example, is really good. If you make training weapons out of feather wood, that would also work with the melee solution to this problem. But again, you would have a weak military as a result. But the thing with wooden crossbows is, depending on the quality of the wooden crossbow, it can be just as good, if not better, as a metal crossbow for shooting things. Now, since they're never going to shoot someone with it, and only beat someone with it, you've given them a very weak bludgeoning weapon, but may still have equipped your military with a very potent ranged weapon. So that's what we have actually set up. I've gone ahead, and where are you? I've told them to specifically equip wooden crossbows. They're not going to have a shield, they're just going to have wooden crossbows. The Silvery Rufflesses have, the Brilliance of Glaze, have a shield buckler and a crossbow. Now, I'm not sure if a shield buckler actually helps or not. I may have a look into that. But the distinct figures will specifically only equip wooden crossbows. Now, I already have someone working on making wooden crossbows. I've set up 20 wooden crossbows, just in case the Brilliance of Glaze decide to steal some of the crossbows. So, I'm hoping this will ultimately neatly sidestep the largest danger of having a Fortress Guard, and that is that when they go out to give someone a beating for some sort of tiny misdemeanor crime, like they failed to make some noble's chamber pot out of rose gold and porcelain, because they're that specific about what they want their chamber pot made out of, then they're not going to be beaten to death by just a very, very competent wrestler or axe wielder or hammerer, as the case may be. You will eventually have a hammerer whose job will literally be to go out and beat people to death. Yeah, well, not generally to death, but that's usually what happens when someone wallops you with a hammer enough times. But let's see what this... Oh, no, another boy. This elven caravan has to offer. Maybe we can buy loads of wood. Right, on that note, let's go ahead and move some goods over here. What do we have to move? Finished goods. We'll move all of these over. And don't worry, when I actually go through trading, I will not make you watch me selecting each item out of these bins individually to make sure that they aren't made of wood or of people. And prepare... Ah, no, we can't sell prepared food. Barrels, no. We need jugs for that. Now, I have got jugs made. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look into that. Look back over the comments that people have given me on how to best set that up. What on earth is that? I have not seen that particular icon before. Is it just... Oh, it's traction benches. Oh, fantastic. We want those. Build traction benches. Now, where will a traction bench be? There we go. This is what we need. We should have set this up a long time ago, honestly. We'll have a dolomite traction bench and a granite traction bench. Now, a traction bench, as you might be aware from real life, is basically a bed or an operating table that prevents you from moving around too much. There are certain injuries where the hospital will need you to keep still whilst they're fixing you, maybe for quite a long time. And a traction bench is what they're going to use for that. What? Where did you just come from? Oh, no, you're moving it all down there. Okay. All right, I have no idea where the Elvish caravan is. Ah, there they are. With their donkeys, laden with wares. Why are you using these donkeys as beasts of burden, elves? I thought you were friends of all animals. Unless the donkeys agreed. I mean, I can't put it past them. They are donkeys, and that's inherently stupid. But, right, the other things I've been working on, I have set up this area. Ah, ooh, we've gone through some metal, have we? Really? Yes, we have. Magnetite. Lots of magnetite. Is this dolomite here? Yes, fantastic. That's what I was hoping it would be. But we seem to have a massive vein of metal as well. That is perfect. Right, I've also started work at the very lowest level, fleshing that out, ready to mine out in the cardinal directions in order to see if we can find the caverns. We might not be able to, but my hope is that we will. I'll just go ahead and smooth that area for now. Right, let's go back up and check on the caravan. They should be unloading their goods right about now, and I should really get Aavak over there quickly. Right, Aavak, I really need you to do this. Please. We require a trader requested at the depot. Now, will Aavak go down there? Or will he not? This is the question on everyone's list. Yes! Haha! Trade at depot. It seems that since becoming the Baron, he has started to take his position seriously. I'm very glad. Right, well, we can trade, it looks like. My apologies, but we're still unloaded. Damn it! It can take them a very long time to unload their wares as well. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. But what I think I'll do here is I'll pause the recording. I'll let these guys prepare to trade, and then I'll have a look through what they have for trade, and I will bring you back once I've selected everything and we're about to make a trade so you can see what we're buying. So I will see you in a few moments. Alright, I've gone through the list and I've picked out a lot of items. However, I noticed a load of the jugs are actually in these finished goods barrels. And what I've done with the jugs is I've sold any that had a particularly high value, but there were quite a lot of granite jugs. I imagine the earliest ones that I made, which had very low value. So I'm keeping those, and I'm going to try and work out how to properly use them. Don't worry, I know it's frustrating to see me go through this and like have all these jugs and not be using them. I will get that working out. But one thing I noticed, all these piccolos. Now these are forbidden. The problem with this is that someone may be in trouble now for having brought these to the trading depot because they were in a bin. That is how silly the crime system is. We may have someone queued up for being beaten because they had the audacity to bring a finished goods bin that I ordered them to bring that specifically had some piccolos in it. And that may be enough. We're going to have to check the screen to find out. Now, there seems to be quite a lot of wood here, so we're going to go through picking out all of this. Candle nut. There may even be some featherwood. If there is, I'll specifically tell them to produce some... Oh, what's a candle nut then? That's really light. Let me have a quick look at this. View good. This is a candle nut. What is a candle nut, though? If that is a wood, it's incredibly light compared to all of the others. I may see if I can make some candle nut wood items. But it seems that we've got an enormous amount of wood that we're going to just go all the way through and pick all of those up. Now, we have 153 worth of wood from them, and I'm trying to sell 1,685 worth of various stone items. I'm not sure how... Well, I don't think we need extra cloth. Let's see if they've got anything else that we would like to take. Okay, it's taken a while. They've brought a lot of cloth, it seems. Let's keep going down. Paging down. My God, really? Is this all you bought? Do you think that our clothes look particularly bad or something and you're trying to give us a hint? Maybe not, but... Right, I'm thinking we'll take all of these. All of the ratweed, fisher berries, wild strawberries, since we can use that to make drinks. And I would very much like to take all of that. We're slowly bringing down the value. Have we got any sunshine? Not sure what they're made of. Glowberries or something? Let's see. Loads of wild strawberries, actually. We might not need this many. We'll just go for the prickle berries and ratweed from now on. Also the fisher berries. I wonder... It would be quite cool if fisher berries were thus named because they're particularly good bait, and that the dwarves would actually use the fisher berries to catch fish. That would be pretty nice. And ratweed attracts rats. I doubt it does, but it would be awesome if it did. Right, what else have you got? Because I've almost filled up now on... Oh, okay. Well, it's an awful lot of profit, honestly. I'm not really happy with giving you all that, so I'm going to take a couple more things. But I suppose that's the good thing about the Elven caravans, is they bring a lot of stuff that's really low value. So you can actually afford to buy the vast majority of it. I'll give them about 400, 450 worth of profit. I think that would be reasonable. And we'll take one more. Okay, you can have that. Are you going to take it? Yes, okay. You seem pleased with the trading. I too am pleased. And I would very much like to know if someone is now in really big trouble. Someone in trouble? No. Haha! You've escaped. Ah, thank goodness. Right. We do not need a trader at the depot any longer. You may leave. Well done on actually doing work today. Now, as for that... let's check on the production orders. Make wood crossbows. We've got... Wow, we've made 8 of the 20 that I ordered. That's actually pretty good. And we've made quite a few of the leather quivers as well. Alright. We are going good with the charcoal, but I'm going to need more of that. So I'm going to queue up some more. We've got plenty of wood now, so we should be able to make loads more. We are on the iron high boots. That is fantastic. So all that's left is gauntlets, greaves, and a couple more high boots. I imagine most of our military then actually have their metal armor. Let's check on that. It'd be very nice to see that if that were true. Right, Brilliance of Galaze, you're fully equipped, but I would like to check out the Everlasting Stockades. You do not have headwear or handwear. Alright, I'll have to look into that. Metal headwear. Okay, it seems that we don't have helmets. And gloves. Well, the gloves is to be expected. We're still making those. But headwear is definitely an issue. And some footwear. What about silvery roughnesses? You have almost nothing. That isn't good at all. Alright, well we clearly need a lot more stuff then. How many of you guys didn't have headwear? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of you? Yeah, okay. We'll set up 10 iron helmets as well. This we will move up a little bit in priority. Now, increased priority is P. And we'll just move that all the way up to the high boots there. That should do for now. Okay, well, we're still mining away. Though I think I'm going to spend some time actually chiseling out the good stuff down here. All of the iron, or magnetite. But I did come down here for the dolomite. So what I'll probably do is start branching off at the top here. In just short branches. And somewhere in the middle we'll probably have a central branch. That will another sort of central area like that, and branch off large corridors, these 2 wide corridors like that. And this will be a mining area. We'll start mining at the top because I'm fairly certain I'm not going to hit any areas where I want to sink a staircase. But once we get around this level, I'll slow down and start planning that out a little bit more. So I'm going to bring you back in a few minutes. Hopefully I'll have had enough dolomite to start work on setting up some of the rooms for our food industry. See you soon. Well, welcome back. Lalassa is not a very happy dwarf. They have been very unhappy lately. They were upset by wearing tattered clothing. To be fair, I would be too. They were enraged by long patrol duty lately. They have lost a pet recently, and I'll get to that in a moment. They slept in a very good bedroom, though. They also admired a fine trap. They dined in a great dining room. And they got in the rain, and they sustained minor injuries. Lalassa is throwing a tantrum. Yeah, that's not the greatest thing to see when your military are the ones doing it. Now, where are you exactly? It's whereabouts are you? There. What are you doing? You're very, very angry. Okay, let's cover some of the things that have gone down since you were last here. Aavak demanded that leggings be made. Fortunately, we were already making leather leggings. That went fine. He has also prohibited the export of leggings. Well, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind about that one bit. Though clearly we do need to make some more clothes. That our dwarves are pretty much walking around in tattered clothing. I didn't even realize. Now, I'm flashing out this area. We're going to have to put down some more graves, as we did have a thief. The thief appeared here. Our dwarves rushed out to try and deal with it, but the thief was already well ahead of them, so I didn't think they were going to have a fight, so I didn't bother bringing you back. However, the faithful hounds continued to chase. All the way over... Oops, wrong buttons. Very much wrong buttons there. All the way to about here, where one of them caught up with it. Now, I was expecting the dogs to be able to deal with it, because there were 3 of them. Unfortunately, no. That annoying little thief managed to stab one right in the head, and it died immediately. And then the thief got away, which is even worse, somehow. But we've been making a little bit of progress around the place. It looks like Lalassa isn't particularly interested in flying into some sort of berserker raid. They're just sulking, and I can appreciate it. It's pretty horrible that your dog died. Now, as for justice, let's have a look at that. No, we've only got Lupanian still, who needs to be dealt with. I am currently making a little stockroom that I'm going to have wheelbarrows working at in order to bring all of the ores that we need our metalsmith to smelt. We are also making some progress with regards to this area. We have several rooms smoothed out. This one is just having floors built, and this one will be ready once my masons can actually get down here to build most of it. But more importantly, we are still waiting on doors down here. Now, that is something that is a bit of an annoyance that we don't already have. I will probably be prioritizing that in the coming episodes. Now, over here, I want to place a burial receptacle. Do we have any? No, we don't really. I thought we had loads. Damn it. Okay, well, we need some burial receptacles then. Well, bugger it. We'll have 5 to start with. Coffin. Rock coffins, please. 5 of. And please move this right to the top, where the rock doors are. Ah, they are actually making rock doors. Fantastic. We've also got several large rock pots. Now, the problem with the rock pots is, for some reason, they're all being stored up here, but they're not being brought down there. Now, I'm not sure what settings I'm going to need to activate for this stockpile to actually store the rock pots and use them. If anyone happens to know, oh, someone's got a rock pot there. Are you filling it with booze? I hope so. Then we can watch where you take it. But, if anyone does happen to know of any funky settings I need to set up in order to have rock pots be stored in this place, I would be very, very thankful if you could drop a comment in the video and let me know. Now, I've left the ravens are great. All of their chicks are tame. I am keeping the parents alive, even though I'm constantly having to retrain them, simply because it's giving my Beastmasters some experience. But other than that, everything in the fort is going well. I've done a little bit more mining. Fleshed out the mine down here. This magnetite area is bloody enormous, though. I mean, that's a good thing, but my lord, it's going to take us a long time to get all of that up there. There really is no reason why we can't be making steel. Once we've got our dwarves in iron armor, I'll be moving on to making steel straight away. But right now, we've got so much iron, and it's so much faster to make that I'm favouring having that made for the time being. But I'm thinking this is a good wrapping up point. I've also dug this area out. I'm going to start taking this up. Once I've got the kitchen area finished, I'm going to be working on a crafting area. And that's what that area on the stairs is going to be. We're going to be going up and we're going to having a crafting workshop-y area up here. I'm not sure exactly which crafts workshops we're going to have. I might even have the stone and the wood workshops up there. I'm not sure yet. But that's what I'm going to be working on once the food production is stabilized and I actually have all of the stockpiles down there so that they're not still using this area. And little by little, we'll be moving all of the industries out of this initial base into a more permanent residence within the fort. Not sure where all of that is going to be just yet. But, oh, this is actually finished. Fantastic. I've already made the wheelbarrows, so we'll go ahead and set up, I think, a stockpile. Now, what was the key for stockpiles? I forget. Let's see. Stockpiles. Oh, P, not Y. Right, okay then. We want this to be a stone stockpile. We're going to be setting it up pretty specifically. There we go. That's what this one's going to be. And I actually want it to be stones and bars. So, we're going to come in here. We're going to turn off other stone. We only want metal ores. I suppose we could have economic as well. Like dolomite for the flux. But at the moment, I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to be building a lot of walls out of that. So we're not going to worry about that just yet. That would probably be worth bringing over at some point. Now, would coal be in there? No, it wouldn't. It would be under bars. Bars and blocks. So we'll enable bars and blocks. We are going to enable only... Well, we're going to block everything. And then we're going to enable coal. We want all of the iron bars. Sorry, the metal bars. Is there anything else I would possibly want? Earthenware and stoneware. That's interesting. Those are effectively what we're making the pots out of. I might have to look into that. We'll have all... Well, blocks of metal? No, we won't have blocks of metal. We're not going to be making blocks of metal. But that should be all we need there. I'm going to go ahead and tell them max wheelbarrows 3. Because we have that. And also, I would like quite a few bins in here. We'll have 10 bins. That should be enough to store the majority of the bars that we create. But that's it for now, I think. Is that all okay? Actually, I think that stockpile is over the steps. So I'm going to come up and I'm just going to remove that little bit. So P again. No, wrong. P. And then I want to remove designation on just the areas of the stairs. So that one, and I believe that one. There we go. Right, so our metalsmiths should be able to be a little bit more efficient with having all of the things they need to hand at any one time. But that is it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you will be joining us for the next. But until then, and as always, do take care.